True story. I'm not making any of this up. 1998, I was the head coach of a football team here in the Niagara region. 19 and under. It was for the development of high school athletes who were unrecruited. My team, the Niagara Colts, we were poor. Dirt poor. Poorest team in the league. I don't kick. I'm the only coach on planet Earth who doesn't kick. We don't kick field goals. We don't kick point afters. We don't punt. What I tell my team is this: on fourth down, we go for it, and it doesn't matter where. It's the longest no-kicking streak in the history of the world, in the history of football. Now, the reason for this is that this true story validates everything I've told my team about don't be afraid to be different. Don't be afraid to be different. Don't be afraid of your true self. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Don't fear your true self. All right, here's the story. Saturday night game, under the lights, poor team. We're playing a rich team. Goliath. David versus Goliath. We pummeled them. David pummeled Goliath. It's important to understand that we won 42-21, no kicking, set records for passing, set records for offense. Now that's double the score. 42-21 in football terms. That's a beatdown. That's a knockout. We doubled the score. That's important for the story. We won. We beat the rich team. And before the game, people were laughing at us. Look, in the stands, they were saying, look at that poor team. Look at their uniforms. The other team had a pretty uniform, pretty stadium, pretty weight room. Our weight room was a basement. Our uniform wasn't pretty. Our stadium wasn't pretty. Nothing about us was pretty. So we had a motto that at the end of every game, we wanted to make sure that we would say to the other team, you ain't pretty no more. That's the beauty of football. That's the beauty of contact sports. Why do people play contact sports? Because you get to meet at a certain time in a certain place, and you can bring ideologies to clash. You bring your ideology and my ideology. My workout is better than your workout. Oh yeah? Says who? You know, like on social media, everybody thinks they got the next big thing. The fitness establishment. Everybody's got a new workout that works out. No pun intended. See, football allows you to say, let's meet at a certain place at a certain time. It's called game day. Game day is a clash of ideology to say, let's see if my workouts are better than your workouts. Let's see if my offensive philosophy is better than yours. Let's see if my defensive beliefs are better than yours. And then you duke it out for 60 minutes. For 60 minutes, you hit each other, legally of course. And by the way, you don't go out in society and do this. I tell my players, you don't go out and assault people. But on this field here, it's a legal assault. And at the end of the game, you look up at the scoreboard, and the people with the most points, you validate your system. You validate your beliefs, and then you say, oh, so that's why we do 10 sets of bench press. Well, that's why we do 10 sets of squats. That's why my workouts are better than yours. Because football has a scoreboard. All right, you're probably thinking, you're going to get to the story or not. We won the game Saturday night. Game was over at, say, 10:30 p.m. Game's over. We won 42-21. Next morning, that's 1998. It was right there at the edge of the internet era. I didn't have a cell phone. Nobody had a cell phone. There were no cell phones. There was no social media. 1998, think of this. There was no social media. I didn't go post on Facebook, we won 42-21. There was no Facebook. It was, 6 years before Facebook. There was no Instagram. No cell phones. No YouTube. No laptops. No tablets. Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Sunday morning, 10 a.m. I woke up and I went and checked my messages on my home phone. There was a little box. It was a voicemail. It was voicemail. You pressed it, and you had these recordings. There was only one message. The This machine said, you have one message. That's it, one message. So I pressed play. Here's what the message said. It was a male voice. It was a tough-sounding voice, a guy with a deep voice. And I think he was trying to make it deeper. You know how like some guys are trying to make their voice deeper and make him sound tougher? He didn't say his name. He did not identify himself. He wanted to remain anonymous. He wanted to make it a harassing phone call. So he said, yeah, man, you got to kick. Because kicking's a beautiful thing, quote unquote. I'll never forget that. Yeah, man, you got to kick. Because kicking is a beautiful thing. Then he mumbled something about that's the way the game is played. That's the way the game is played. And then I heard beep. At the end of this old machine, beep, the time ran out. So he didn't leave his name, didn't leave a phone number. He obviously didn't want to meet me in person. But this man was upset. Sunday morning at 10 a.m., he went and left a message. Because he was upset about the way we won. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. He was upset about the way we won. I want to say it one more time. 42-21. David beat Goliath. It was a knockout. It wasn't even close. But this guy was upset because we didn't kick. How dare you don't kick? Now, let's say you hate football. Let's say you don't even understand the sport. Here's my point. No pun intended. See, 42-21. Here's my point, or here's my points. First point. I'm the only coach who doesn't kick. What that means is this. In football, all these tough-talking football coaches, it's a culture of toughness. We're going to have tough-talking pep talks. And they always talk tough. But when it comes down to fourth down and inches, they kick the ball to the other team because they're scared to go for it. We're not. Okay, you don't have to punt. Here's my first point. It's very scary, ladies and gentlemen, when you confuse a strategy with a rule. Let me say that again. It's very, very scary when you start confusing a strategy with a rule, because you translate that to real life, and that means that just because you want to do it and I don't do it, you think I'm wrong. And then you impose your thinking on mine. And then we have conflict because I don't think like you and you don't think like me. That's very profound what I just said. Just because I have a different strategy does not mean I'm right or wrong. We won the game. Just because I don't kick doesn't make me a bad person. Well, obviously that caller confused kicking with a rule. You gotta kick, he said. It's a beautiful thing. A beautiful thing. Here's the second point. It's a game. It's a game. It was a bunch of 16 to 19-year-old kids who were trying to get scholarships, buddy. It don't matter really truly what the score is. Can we get these people to the next level? What are you talking about? It's a beautiful thing. All right. Third point. And here's the biggest point. I've told my football players for 40 years. I taught college law enforcement students for 2 decades, and I said it to them probably at least 2-3 times a week. Do not be afraid to be different. Do not be afraid to be original. You don't have to blend in. You don't have to fit in. Because if you're afraid to be yourself, think of this. If you're afraid to be your true self, you're scared to be who you're supposed to be. You're so afraid of yourself. Then what are other people supposed to think of you? If you're afraid of your true self and you're never going to be your true self, then what's the point of having these God-given gifts and talents just so that you can fit in and be the same as everybody else? Why? Why would you be afraid to be yourself? If you're not hurting anybody by who you are, the key thing is if you're not hurting anybody, why should you be afraid to be yourself? Because you were put on this earth to bring your true self and help people. Do you know, ladies and gentlemen, I've told my players, believe it or not, when you get older, there's people right now who are waiting for your true self to save them from something. Your true self was put in you because there's someone somewhere and a whole bunch of people that need you. If you hide your true self, you are hiding your gift and your talent from someone who needs you. God didn't just give you these gifts and talents for kicks. It's for someone else. And people don't see that. So instead, here's what they do. They fit in. They do things that they don't want to do because they want to conform. Conformity is a powerful force. It makes you do things against your beliefs, against your ideology, just to fit in. And before you know it, you don't even know who you are. All that over a football game? Here's the rest of the story. That guy who remained anonymous, I recognized his voice. I could have gone to his house and said, hey man, you just sent me a harassing phone call. Then the phone call was traced to, get this, a phone booth. This guy got up on a Sunday morning. Instead of going to make breakfast, go outside, catch some rays, this guy walked to a phone booth. I don't know if a lot of you know what a phone booth is. I'm not being facetious. A phone booth, do they still have them? There's phone booths. You used to put a quarter, a dime, or something in there. There were no cell phones. He didn't even call from his own house. He walked. He put on his slippers, pajamas, house coat, whatever, on a Sunday morning. Go make your breakfast, man. Go have a protein shake. Go to the gym. No, he went to a phone booth. Because it bothered him that I did something, according to my own true beliefs, that we didn't kick. I know this is absurd. You're probably saying, how long is this video, man? Where are we, 10 minutes? It's only 10 minutes. You can listen to it. You know how many people say to me, it's kind of long. People today, they want things short. That's the problem. You can pay attention for 10 minutes. We don't all have to cave in to make it a 20-second video. Just to make everybody happy so that your attention is limited to 20 seconds. Okay, I just got off topic. Let's get back to that guy. That guy got out of his house, put on his slippers. Picture this guy, a grown man, not a teenager. I recognize his voice. He was an opposing high school coach. He didn't like me. When he came to the game, he tortured himself to watch my team win. Then he went, the next day, 12 hours later, man, he went to a phone booth, put a quarter in, didn't say who he was. He tried to disguise his voice just to say, you gotta kick. You gotta kick. I know you're probably thinking, how many times are you going to say this? Here's my point. That's a football game. It's not the end of the world. But can you imagine on a bigger stage? Can you imagine how many people are telling other people, you gotta do blank? You gotta do this because that's the way I want you to do it. All that big long story for that moment right there, ladies and gentlemen. Just because someone doesn't like the way you do it. If you're not harming anybody, that guy was afraid of somebody else's true self. In conclusion, I have pleaded with my football players and my college law enforcement students. Someone needs your true self. Don't be afraid of your true self. Don't fear your true self. Don't do it. Because if you're afraid of your true self, you're robbing someone of the help, of saving, of escaping whatever it is they're escaping from, because that's your calling. Thank you for listening. Blessings and all good things. Peace.